Look around you. The truth is, the world is not getting softer, it's not getting easier, and it will never bend itself to make you comfortable. And yet, too many people live as if they're entitled to success without sacrifice, as if they can wish their way into strength without ever lifting the weight of responsibility. I'm here to tell you something that might sting, but it will set you free. Weakness is a choice. Every single day you wake up, you're either choosing strength or you're choosing weakness. And if you're choosing weakness, then you're choosing to lose. This speech is not about motivation that fades by tomorrow morning. This is about shaking you awake, stripping away the excuses, and forcing you to confront the one thing holding you back. The version of yourself that settles, that complains, that avoids the hard things. I'm not here to be polite. I'm here to remind you of who you were meant to be: strong, disciplined, unbreakable. And if you listen all the way through, I promise you will leave with a fire in your chest that weakness can never extinguish. So don't tune out, don't look for comfort, because if you can sit through this message, if you can let it pierce the softness you've been clinging to, then you will walk away with something far more valuable than motivation. You'll walk away with the mindset of a warrior. Life doesn't care about your excuses. That's the raw truth people don't want to hear. But it's the truth that will set you free. You can tell yourself you're tired. You can complain about how unfair things are. You can cry about what you didn't get in life. But at the end of the day, the world keeps moving forward whether you do or not. Time does not pause for your feelings. Success does not wait for you to get motivated. And opportunities do not stick around for the person who hesitates. Every single one of us has a choice. We can choose to stay stuck in the narrative we tell ourselves. I had it harder. I wasn't given the same chances. I'm just unlucky. Or we can accept that excuses are nothing more than lies we repeat. So we don't have to face discomfort. The problem is, those excuses might make you feel better for a moment, but they destroy you in the long run. They rob you of your strength. They keep you small, and they keep you weak. I've met people who had everything stacked against them. No money, no support, no resources. People who had every reason to quit, and you know what they did. They refused to bow down to excuses. They refused to wait for life to hand them a break. They took ownership. They fought back. They built themselves up brick by brick. They weren't lucky. They weren't chosen. They made a decision that weakness wasn't going to define them. And then I've seen others who had all the tools, all the privilege, all the access, and yet they still failed. Not because life was unfair, but because they were too soft. Because every time it got difficult, they pulled back. Every time they felt tired, they gave in. Every time things didn't go their way, they blamed someone else. And here's the truth: life doesn't reward weakness, it punishes it. We've created this illusion in society that you can avoid the hard things and still somehow win. That you can coast by and success will magically find you. But the reality is brutal. If you don't rise to meet the challenges, life will eat you alive. Nobody is going to knock on your door and hand you strength. Nobody is going to save you from yourself. If you're waiting for a savior, if you're waiting for someone to understand your excuses and tell you it's okay, you're going to be waiting forever. Think about the people you look up to, the ones who inspire you. Do you honestly believe their lives were smooth and painless? Do you think they were never knocked down, never betrayed, never exhausted? The difference is not that life was easier for them. The difference is that they refused to make excuses. They refused to let circumstances dictate their destiny. While others complained, they acted. While others froze, they moved forward. While others made weakness their identity, they chose strength again and again and again. And here's what you need to understand: excuses are addictive. Once you start justifying your weakness, it becomes your default setting. You tell yourself you can't because of this reason or that reason, and soon you don't even try. You condition yourself to quit before you even begin. But here's the secret. Strength is addictive too. Once you prove to yourself that you can push past the pain, that you can keep going when everything in you wants to stop, you start craving that growth. You start realizing how powerful you really are. And that feeling is worth more than any comfort, any excuse, any moment of ease you thought you wanted. So stop telling yourself stories that keep you weak. Stop saying, I can't because, and start saying, I will until. Stop expecting life to treat you gently. It won't. Life will test you, break you, and dare you to rise. And that's the beauty of it, because in those moments, you discover who you really are. Excuses are the language of the weak. Action is the language of the strong. The world doesn't care about your excuses, but it will respect your strength. And strength begins the moment you decide to stop being weak. Strength is not born in the moments when everything feels easy, when the path is smooth, when life is comfortable. Strength is forged in the fire of discomfort, in the challenges that stretch you to your breaking point, in the nights when you want to quit but choose to keep going anyway. The truth is, weakness thrives in comfort. Comfort makes you soft. Comfort makes you complacent. Comfort convinces you that you're safe when, in reality, you're wasting away. Growth and comfort will never exist in the same space, because one demands resistance while the other demands ease. Think about your greatest moments of growth. Were they born in times when everything was calm and predictable? Or did they come from seasons of pain, frustration, and struggle? It's the hard moments that shape you, the times when you felt like you couldn't push one step further but somehow found a way. That's when strength was carved into your very being. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's the greatest gift life can give you, because it forces you to rise. Yet most people run from it. They avoid the hard conversations, the tough choices, the heavy responsibilities. They take the easy route, convincing themselves it's the smart choice, when deep down it's just weakness disguised as logic. But what they don't realize is that every time they choose comfort, they're sacrificing their potential. They're trading long-term strength for short-term ease, and eventually life will punish that choice. Because the challenges don't disappear simply because you avoided them. They grow larger until one day they overwhelm you. The strongest people you'll ever meet are not the ones who had perfect conditions. They're the ones who walked through storms and refused to break. They're the ones who learned to endure discomfort until it became normal. They trained themselves to see resistance as opportunity. They leaned into the pain instead of running from it, and that's why they came out unshakable. Weakness isn't about not being capable, it's about being unwilling. Strength comes when you choose the harder road, when you step willingly into discomfort, when you decide that pain will not scare you into submission. The gym is one of the clearest metaphors for this. Every rep you push, every extra second you hold, every time you refuse to put the weight down, that's discomfort shaping you. You tear the muscle so it grows stronger, and life works the same way. Every challenge that tears at you, that stretches you, that makes you want to quit, is actually building you if you let it. The pain is not punishment, it's preparation, it's proof that you're growing, but only if you endure it. Only if you refuse to run back to the comfort zone where nothing ever changes. Most people never realize that avoiding discomfort is the reason they're stuck. They want success, but they don't want the struggle that comes with it. They want strength, but they don't want the pain of building it. They want discipline, but they don't want the daily grind of proving it. That's why so many remain weak. They never give themselves permission to endure discomfort long enough to be transformed by it. If you want to rise above weakness, you have to stop protecting yourself from discomfort. Stop negotiating with pain. Stop searching for the shortcut that avoids the process. You can't cheat growth. You can't outsmart struggle. You can't demand strength without first proving that you're willing to earn it. And the way you earn it is simple. You lean in. When it's uncomfortable, stay. When it's painful, push. When it feels unbearable, take one more step. Because every time you do, you're training yourself to be stronger than the moment, stronger than the pain, stronger than the weakness that wants to control you. This is the reality. Discomfort is where the magic happens. It's where your character is revealed. It's where discipline is built. It's where you become the kind of person who is no longer shaken by small challenges, because you've faced bigger ones and survived. The more discomfort you embrace, the stronger you become. The stronger you become, the more prepared you are for life's battles. And when life throws its hardest punches, you don't crumble. You stand tall because you've already trained for it in the arena of discomfort. Weakness will always whisper that comfort is enough, but deep inside you know it's not. You know you're meant for more. And if you want to claim that more, then you must walk straight into the fire of discomfort and let it do its work. Stop running from it. Stop fearing it. Start embracing it, because it's in the discomfort where the strongest version of you is waiting to be born. Strength is forged in discomfort, and weakness dies the moment you stop avoiding it. Your feelings are temporary, but discipline is permanent. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. They build their lives around emotions, waiting to feel motivated, waiting to feel inspired, waiting for the mood to strike before they act. But here's the problem: feelings come and go like the wind. They're unreliable. They shift with your environment, your energy, your circumstances. If you build your life on feelings, you build on quicksand. But discipline, that's the solid ground beneath your feet. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're unmotivated, if you're scared. Discipline shows up anyway. The people who accomplish extraordinary things in life are not the ones who wake up every morning overflowing with motivation. They're the ones who wake up no matter what state they're in and follow through on what they said they'd do. They train when they don't feel like training. They show up when it would be easier to stay in bed. They keep their commitments long after the mood they made them in has disappeared. That's discipline. And that's why discipline will always defeat feelings. Weakness, on the other hand, is ruled by feelings. Weakness says, "I'll do it tomorrow." Weakness says, "I'm too tired today." Weakness says, "I just don't feel like it." And before long, weakness builds a life of regret, a life of missed opportunities, a life of broken promises to yourself. That's the reality of living by feelings. They betray you. They keep you stuck. They convince you that comfort is enough, when deep down you know you're meant for more. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you'd start something tomorrow? How many times have you quit halfway because the excitement wore off? That's what happens when feelings lead your decisions. They give you a burst of energy in the beginning, but the moment things get hard, the moment that initial spark fades, weakness takes over and whispers that it's okay to stop. And so you stop and nothing changes, but discipline doesn't allow that. Discipline demands consistency. Discipline demands that you keep showing up regardless of how you feel in the moment. And that consistency, that steady, unshakable commitment, is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Discipline is the reason some people keep climbing when others give up. It's the reason some people transform their lives while others spend years circling the same problems, stuck in the same cycles. And here's the thing: discipline is not something you're born with. It's not reserved for a special group of people. It's built, choice by choice, day after day. Every time you push yourself to act when you don't feel like it, you're training discipline. Every time you keep a promise to yourself when it would be easier to quit, you're building discipline. And over time, that discipline becomes stronger than your excuses, stronger than your doubts, stronger than your feelings. The truth is, motivation is overrated. If you wait for motivation, you'll never build anything lasting. Motivation might get you started, but it won't carry you through the grind. It won't carry you through the nights when you're exhausted, the mornings when you want to stay in bed, the setbacks that test your willpower. Only discipline can do that. Discipline is the engine that keeps moving when motivation runs out of fuel. And when you live by discipline, something incredible happens. You begin to trust yourself. You no longer doubt whether you'll follow through, because you've proven to yourself over and over again that your word means something. That trust builds confidence, and that confidence builds strength. Discipline is not just about doing the hard things. It's about becoming the kind of person who can rely on themselves no matter what. And that is power. Weak people wait for inspiration. Strong people create results through discipline. Weak people stop when it gets hard. Strong people push because discipline doesn't give them another option. Weak people break promises to themselves. Strong people keep them even when it hurts, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one else is watching. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. So if you want to stop being weak, stop living by how you feel in the moment. Stop letting your emotions dictate your future. Stop telling yourself you'll act when you're motivated, because motivation is fleeting. Build discipline. Build the habits that carry you forward regardless of mood. Build the routines that keep you consistent whether you're tired, stressed, or uninspired. Because when discipline takes control, weakness loses its grip. Discipline over feelings always. At some point, you have to stop pointing fingers. You have to stop looking at your past, your parents, your environment, your circumstances, and blaming them for why you're not where you want to be. Because here's the truth. The longer you hold on to a victim mentality, the longer you'll stay weak. Blaming others might feel good for a moment. It takes the pressure off you, it gives you a temporary excuse, but it robs you of power. When you put the responsibility on someone else, you're handing them the keys to your life. You're saying, I can't change, I can't grow, I can't win because of them. And as long as you keep doing that, you'll never be free. Strength begins the moment you take ownership. When you stop saying, look what happened to me, and start saying, this is on me, my choices, my effort, my life, that shift is everything. Because when it's on you, you have control. You can change your habits. You can change your discipline. You can change your future. But if it's always someone else's fault, then you've already surrendered. You've already decided you're powerless, and weakness thrives on powerlessness. There are people who came from nothing, broken homes, poverty, trauma, and still created lives of strength and impact. They didn't wait for someone to rescue them. They didn't sit around complaining about what was unfair. They stood up and said, this is my life and I refuse to waste it, and they fought for every step forward. Then there are people who had more than enough, but because they never accepted responsibility, they let it all slip through their fingers. Opportunity means nothing if you don't own your choices. When you take ownership, you stop making excuses. You stop blaming your boss for why you're unhappy. You stop blaming your parents for why you're not disciplined. You stop blaming your circumstances for why you're not successful. You realize those things might have influenced you, yes, but they don't define you. You do, and that's where true strength comes from. The moment you stop waiting for the world to change, and instead decide to change yourself, you step into real power. Owning your life also means owning your failures. Weak people run from accountability. They hide from their mistakes. They pretend it wasn't their fault, but strong people do the opposite. They say, yes, I messed up, I failed, I made the wrong call, and then they get back up and fix it. That's strength because accountability isn't weakness. Accountability is proof that you're willing to face the truth and grow from it. Every failure you own becomes a stepping stone. Every excuse you make becomes a wall that blocks you. It's easy to play the victim. It's easy to gather sympathy and tell people why life is so unfair. But sympathy doesn't build strength. Sympathy doesn't get you results. Sympathy doesn't push you to grow. All it does is keep you in the same place, surrounded by the same problems, repeating the same story to anyone who will listen. The world doesn't need another victim. The world needs people who are willing to take responsibility and rise. And let's be clear, taking ownership doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means everything is your responsibility. There's a difference. You may not have caused the pain, the setbacks, the difficulties in your life, but you are responsible for how you respond to them. You are responsible for how you move forward. You are responsible for what you build out of what you were given. That's where the power lies, not in what happened to you, but in what you choose to do next. If you want strength, you have to stop living in denial. Stop hiding behind the easy story that it's someone else's fault. Because deep down, you know the truth. The only thing holding you back is you. The excuses, the lack of discipline, the fear of discomfort. That's what's standing in your way. And the moment you decide to take full ownership, the excuses lose their power. Weakness loses its grip because now it's not about what anyone else did. It's about what you're going to do. Ownership is freedom. Ownership is strength. Ownership is the line that separates the weak from the strong. And until you cross that line, until you stop playing the victim and start playing the warrior, you'll always be held back. But the moment you take full accountability for your life, you'll find that nothing can stop you, because nothing outside of you has control anymore. Strength begins the moment you say, "It's on me."